people see me and they're like, dang, you have all this stuff going on. But it's like, I didn't at one point. Like I built all of this stuff, right? I built it all, So don't look at me and get discouraged because I'm doing all this shit. Well, it's like back before I was just trying to do one thing, and then I started to do two things, and then led to three, and so on. And so now I'm all over the place.
It's so easy for all of us to sit back on our couch and watch the game on TV thinking to ourselves, if only I was that fast, if only I was that big, if only I had that talent, man, I would do so much with that. We are building ourselves up while also putting the person we are watching on TV down, implying as if we had that God-given ability, we would out-achieve the individual we are watching that does have it. It's human nature because we don't want to feel bad about ourselves. When it comes to athletes that play at the college level or above, though, they usually get it when evaluating someone else's talent. Yeah, maybe there might be a built-in excuse here and there. I mean, to this day, if someone asks me why I didn't go pro, I never respond, I wasn't good enough. I usually respond, I got hurt my senior year, I would have. And shit, I do mean it. But who gives a fuck? All that matters is that I didn't go pro, right? If you look at today's guest, you are going to have a hard time poking holes in his accomplishments. He is listed at 5'10" and 200 pounds. For those of you who don't know, when a football roster says that, it usually means 5'8", 180 pounds. But he's fast as shit, right? Well, yeah, you got to be fast for his position, but he isn't the fastest. And coming out of high school, he went to a Division II college, presumably because no Division I schools wanted him. Okay, but in college, he showed how great he is, and every NFL team fought over him, right? Nope. He didn't get drafted. Talk about a role model on perseverance. Austin Ekeler has become a friend of mine over the last year or so. My first conversation with him consisted of him saying something along the lines, I know football is temporary. I'm building my brand that will last well beyond my days in the NFL. Impressive commentary for someone who just signed a $24 million contract as the starting running back of the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm excited to discuss football, his foundation, and his new technology platform. Austin Ekeler, welcome to 2000% Raise.
Hey, let's go, man. Let's go.
Do it, brother.
Before we get started, amazing intro, and I really appreciate you repping the foundation gear. Yes,
Boom.
Be the best
Boom.
you, our Austin Ekeler Foundation merch. So that's what's up, man. I'm repping the new stuff. We got a new
Is that the
line.
new stuff? All
It's
right.
the new stuff. I got to get you one over.
Anyone now watching on YouTube right now, check it out. I have a shirt that says "Be the best you" with an Austin Ekeler Foundation logo on the side. And let me just say a little gem to our audience right there, Austin. I wanted to work this in later, but since you brought it up right away, if anyone out there has a well-off friend or a celebrity colleague or something, and what do you get that guy for his birthday? What do you get a guy that has everything? And you look at him that way. The best way you could show someone your appreciation or your support of them is to give money to any kind of charity or a foundation in any way, shape, or form. Even a Facebook post is what I found is the way to do that. And Austin's been so good to me. He's gotten a couple of VC deals of mine, and he's just always going out of his way to help me out. So I'm very happy to be wearing my Be the Best You shirt, Austin, repping the set, brother.
Awesome, man. Yeah, glad to be here, man. Glad to dive into it. Let's get in there, man.
I want to give a quick shout out to my friends at America's Benefits Center in Atlanta. Check them out at americasbenefitscenter.com. These guys know their stuff. They're great employee benefit brokers. They've been around the block. I've known them for a few years now. They're 100% Hispanic owned, bilingual. So any entrepreneurs out there growing your organization, you're getting at that point where you need benefits, or hey, maybe you got benefits and want to look at a different broker, check these dudes out. They're in Atlanta, but they work nationally. AmericasBenefitsCenter.com.
Audience, please forgive my voice. I was just back from Austin's hometown of Vegas the last 5 days, so my voice is a little raspy. Normally I would have rescheduled this, but I'm like, dude, Austin's a busy dude. I got to keep him on the calendar here. Hey, man. So I played football at Notre Dame, and coming from a Division II school, you're playing side by side players now in the NFL with Miami, Alabama, Texas, Ohio State. With where you're at in your career now, man, do you still have it in the back of your mind? Every once in a while you look around and say, look at me now, mother effers. Boom. All you high school All-Americans, who's standing here now, bitches?
I've just really noticed that it doesn't matter where you come from. It's what you do when you get there, right? Because I'm at a point where now people are coming to me and asking me how I've been able to overcome and get to where I'm at in my career, and so it's kind of flipped on its head, because, people see your results. They don't necessarily see the journey.
Yeah. And let's talk about that journey, brother. You went to, so you're undrafted out of college, Division II. And then how did you even wind up at the school you wound up in for Western Colorado, was it?
Western Colorado University. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, had an amazing senior year. My junior year in high school was not that great, but my senior year had like 43 touchdowns, like 2,300 rushing yards, like blew it out of the water. And when it came to recruiting, I guess maybe I was seen as undersized, not fast enough. I asked, it was funny. I asked my running back coach now, I was like, would you have recruited me at 186 pounds, running like an 11.3 100-meter dash time? He's like, nah, I wouldn't have recruited you, man. Like, you wouldn't even showed up on the board. I'm like, that's what I was dealing with. And so it ended up being Division II. And I had a couple that were interested in me, but they kind of wanted to bring me on as an athlete, so to speak, kind of figure out where I could fit in on their team, see what was going on. And then I had Western Colorado come to me and say, hey, we have a senior running back that's graduating. We want you to come play running back for us. Boom, sign me up. I'm going to go get my business degree and play football at Western.
That's awesome. And then when did it become a reality that you were even going to be considered for the NFL? Because I'm going to talk really in a second. After you answer that, I want to talk about your journey once you got to the NFL. But when in your college career did you even know this was on your radar screen?
Yeah, so just a little quick story. I didn't actually watch the NFL until my junior year of college, which is probably when I started to get interest. And my coach came to me. He had coached a guy named Danny Woodhead, who played for like 8 years in the league, running back. And he's like, man, you remind me a lot of Danny. You get some interest, and you've been being consistent, so you might have a shot. And that was after my junior season.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Good for you, man. And then, all right. And then here we are on the Chargers. It's 2017. The Chargers #1 draft pick, big Mike Williams out of Clemson. We're talking these name brand schools. Little undrafted free agent guy, Austin Ekeler, comes out of the team, and you're going to play behind Melvin Gordon, who's in his third year now, former 15th overall pick. I got to be thinking, the general public's thinking, Ekeler's going to be lucky to even make the team. Am I right?
Oh, for sure. So First off, I come into this Chargers scenario, and I'm six string on the depth chart. It's not just Melvin Gordon in front of me. There's 5 other guys. There's 5 guys in front of me, man. Like, it's such a far shot. Like, no one even knows who I am. My head coach Anthony Lynn did not know my name until I made the team. I was number 3. There's 90 of us, so he doesn't know all of us personally, right? Which I get now that I'm around it, because it's a lot of guys, but I was number 3 to him. He didn't know who I was. And so for me, man, it was like, there's more to the journey, but when I got to the Chargers, I was so bought into the process that this is the biggest opportunity that I have been presented in my life. And I want to make sure that this is not only something that I know that this is not something that only can set me up, but can change my entire trajectory of my life. And so I was tapped in, not to just this, let me show up and try to do well, but I was like, I need to actually commit everything possible to this opportunity, not just go hard, but really get in and become obsessed with it, so that I can make sure at the end of the day, when this is over, I can be like, okay, that was everything. Yeah. That was everything Austin can do. If that wasn't enough, then look, I'll go do something else. I'll take that energy somewhere else. And so that was the level of commitment that I had to really just focusing on the opportunity. And I didn't know what it was going to look like. It was just because I'm 6 string. I'm getting like 2-3 plays of practice. Most of my plays are on scout team special teams. And so that's where I started to show up and started to slowly gain some respect.
Well, so then 2019, fast forward to 2019, 2 years later, Melvin Gordon gets traded, or he leaves the team.
He was holding out.
Okay, and then they just said, don't let the door hit you in the ass to him, or what happened?
So what happened is, I had played 2 years. My first year, all special teams. Second year, got kind of split as far as special teams offense. And then the third year, Melvin was coming up on, I think, his 5th year. And he wanted to get a new contract. So he was holding out. Well, they couldn't get anything done. When he was holding out, I was second string at that moment. And so I stepped in. And I started popping off. I'm scoring touchdowns. I'm running everywhere. I'm doing the most. Right. Yep. I mean, that was my mindset anyway, if he was there, but now he wasn't. So I was getting the spotlight. Right. And then, that was the season. That was my, most productive season up to that point as far as offensively.
And then I got to think that did not help Melvin's contract negotiations.
No, it did not. Because we were still winning games. I was scoring touchdowns. And so, it definitely was detrimental.
Yeah, that's an interesting, and he landed on his feet anyway somewhere else. But I gotta wonder though, man. So those 2 years, right? So Melvin's holding out for whatever reason. Did you in those 2 years prior already earn the trust of your teammates and coaches, Austin, or was it like everyone hold their breath? Let's see how Austin does.
Yeah. So going back to even my rookie year, once I made the team, that same mindset still stuck with me. And when I was on the field. I'm telling you, man, I was tapped into my survival instincts. This ain't just go out there and go hard. No, this is your livelihood. You got to get it done or you're not, or there's nothing else left.
Right.
Right. That was my intensity. And so I was on mainly special teams. And when I was on special teams, I was unfreaking touchable. You could not stop me. Right. And no one was getting around me if I had a block. Yeah. Right. And that was the mentality. And so my favorite stat to this day, I led the entire NFL on tackles on punt my rookie year.
Really? Okay.
My favorite stat to this day, man. Literally, I told you, you feel my energy. That's how it was. It still's within me. Yeah. And so I earned the respect after that. And after I knew that I could play special teams like that, I'm like, okay, I can stay on any team because I know I'll add value. Now it's can I prove that I can, play on offense?
And any of our audience that's listening that aren't football people, what's really impressive listening to Austin talk when he tells these stories, if you were to watch a game, I'll tell you how you find Austin. One of the smallest guys on the field. That's how you find Austin. This guy is not, he's not a posting figure. And it being in Los Angeles right now, Austin, I gotta think though, because you don't have an imposing size, and here you are, this superstar. You could probably walk down the street in LA and people don't recognize you, I would imagine sometimes.
I used to be able to.
Okay.
Until I started tapping into fantasy sports.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, and let's go there. That's one of the things I was going to ask you, man. And you brought this up early on in our conversations too. You have become a self-promoter of yourself. Self-promoter of yourself, no shit, John. Giving out prizes and giveaways, and very active on social media, promoting yourself for people to draft you. Tell us a little bit about that.
So as I began to get older and started to solidify my role, I started to have a different view of value. When I first got into the league, I was like, oh, let me try to make as much money. And then I started to realize people were interested in me as a person. And I was like, I started to build a community, and I started to feel the value of the endorsements that I was getting because I was starting to build up my community. I had some recognition. And so I started tapping further and further into that. And where I'm getting at is the lowest hanging fruit for any skill position in the NFL, especially if you're a starter, is fantasy sports, right? There's already people betting on you, have you on their team, right? Millions across the entire globe that are tapped into fantasy football or fantasy betting. And so I was like, let me put some energy into this and just show these people that I appreciate them betting on me, having me on their team, and appreciating me, because I appreciate that they appreciate me, And so I started doing that, and I've been doing it for a few years now. And the opportunities that it's presented itself as far as me to build my community, and I talked about value, I've really put that as one of my highest priorities, is how can I give value back to my community, and not only in a football sense, but just in a more personal sense, so that when my football career is done, right, I have that value or that connection or that little piece of me that they followed, not just because of football, but because of something else that can give basically my legacy longevity.
Gotcha. And what are you thinking right now in terms of interacting with your audience, man? TikTok or Instagram, or we're going to talk about your app in a little bit, but TikTok or Instagram at the moment?
So everything kind of led back to the app as far as more of a monetized way, but right now it's very diverse, right? I'm on Twitch. I do a show weekly on Twitch.
Okay.
So I've done that. So it was called Eckler Dome. We just finished our second season. We'll get a third season going here soon. Instagram. I'm on TikTok. Now I have a team built around me for all this stuff. YouTube Shorts. But before it was just when I first got. That's another thing. Just a little side tangent. People see me and they're like, "Dang, you have all this stuff going on." But it's like I didn't at one point. Yeah. Like I built all of this stuff, right? I built it all. So don't look at me and get discouraged because I'm doing all this shit. Well, it's like back before I was just trying to do one thing, and then I started to do two things, and then led to three, and so on. And so now I'm all over the place, and then in the podcast scene too.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Glencrest Global. Glencrest Global is a Chicago and Los Angeles-based venture capital firm that is involved in interesting companies with interesting founders. To see some of Glencrest Global's investments, visit glencrestglobal.com.
Dude, I love the fact that you're embracing all of this. I think back, gosh, I wish I had the quote. I don't remember who said it, but it's probably going back about 20 years where it was an NFL running back had kind of just been a little pissy with people like saying, "Oh shit, you cost me fantasy points because you got hurt." And they were like all over the media, F you fans talking about fantasy football all the time. And now here you are on the other end of this, embracing it. I had Roddy White on our very first episode, and I tell a story about us in the Bahamas together. And a guy comes up to us and is high-fiving him. "You won fantasy for me in 2008. And they're giving him you know what I mean? So, and he got a kick out of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's cool that you're kind of taking this shit to a new level. Do you feel like this is the wave of the future? I know your teammate Mike Williams is all over the gaming stuff as well. Is this where we're at now?
It really comes down to, I think, the personality, but we're on an age now where there's so much information as far as the posting, the content that, the content is king type of thing. And you can see it. You can see the shift. We've been seeing the shift for so long from, the mainstream, just look at these mainstream companies where these budgets used to go into all these TV ads. Well, now they're coming into the social, creator influencer space with all that dollars, because now, right, everyone's fighting over attention. How do we get attention from people, right? Especially the companies, because that's what advertising and marketing is. So now they're coming and bringing it into the influencers, right? Or to the athletes, to these influential people. And so for me, I'm like, okay, they're doing that. What am I doing to continue to build my community? But not only that, what am I doing to get value out of my own community? If I'm just posting on Instagram and build this huge following up and I don't do anything with it, like, what's the point? Like, what do you do? Why are you doing it? Well, it's like, okay, let's find ways to tap into that. The endorsements is a great way, but they're saying, oh, all Austin Eckler fans, come look at our stuff over here. They don't care about you. They care about your fans.
Right. Good point, man. Good point. Well, so let's continue that. Let's continue that on that wave with like loyalty. One of the things that's impressive that me and you just saw each other Super Bowl weekend, and we talked a little bit about your selection on who you use for an agent. We won't get specific about that, but I think you could if you want, I guess. But my takeaway was, hey, 5 years ago when no one was returning your phone calls as far as agents, because this guy could go with anyone, right? If you called up Athletes First right now or CA, you could have any agent you want, and you stuck with an independent guy that wanted you back when you were a Division II nobody, right?
Right.
Could you speak a little bit about why that is and why that's important to you, Austin?
Yeah, man. Like Cameron Weiss, that's my agent. We're like best friends, man. Like, right. And that's what's important to me, that aspect. Not just because we're friends, because you got to have more than that. Sometimes you got to get rid of friends. But first off, he reached out to me after my junior year. It's like, hey, man, I would love to represent you, after your senior year. I was like, don't talk to me right now. I'll come back to you. Let me finish my senior year. Then I'll think of that as an option if that's the thing. So sure enough, come to be, he becomes my agent, still interested. And I was like going through my process of my rookie year, my rookie deal. And when I started to grow and I started to realize that transformation of value in my mind is okay, it's the community, it's my connections, it's my education, it's my experiences, my different things that I'm doing. When I started to have that, Cam and I started to become closer and closer because he was a business attorney at first.
Nice.
His main job was being a business attorney, and he did this the athlete representation on the side. And so I started learning so much from this man. He added so much value to me as just him as an individual. And to this day, we've grown closer together. He's my attorney for all of my different endeavors, and so we're like inseparable. Like we go places together. We do deals together. Like the deals that we're in, he's also in those.
Really? Awesome.
Yeah, we invest together in things, and so.
Yeah.
Like, I know if I go to a bigger agency, that one guy that I go to right now, Cameron Weiss, is going to be 10 people. Right. It's going to be 10 different. I need a lawyer. Okay, we'll talk to this person. I need someone to help me with marketing. Okay, go talk to this. And right now it's just a match made in heaven with my guy Cameron. And he was loyal to me. And I've had people come and try to recruit me. Like, hey, like come over here. We could do this. We'll give your agent, this year, then we'll get the next stuff. And it's like, I can't do it. There's no way they would be able to give me as much value as I can get from Cam with our relationship.
Because they're not him. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what name's on his business card. He's who he is. One of the things we talk about here on 2000% Raise is when you leave corporate America to start your own job and your own company as an entrepreneur, one of the biggest challenges that you have is getting the clients to see it. Okay, that client needs to see that you don't need the 20,000 employee organization because 19,999 of those employees don't matter. It's me. I'm the one on the account. So what's it matter if I work there or if I work for myself? And in fact, it's better if I work for myself because I could give you more time or attention. Let's say I'm an individual that should be making X amount of dollars per year. Well, I only need a handful of clients over here to do that. If I work over there, I need 50, and I need to delegate a bunch of tasks to lower level people that aren't going to do it as well as me. And once you get a client to realize that, and you have those jumbo whale clients like the Austin Ekelers of the world to believe in you, sky's the limit. So thanks for sharing that, Austin. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. I had the pleasure of meeting Cam a couple occasions with business deals we worked in, and he's diligent and obviously knows his shit. So applause to you both, man. Yeah, man. So let's talk about the Experience app, man. You had originally told me about this before it was released, and I'm like, okay, this guy has some ideas, but this idea, the Experience, and at first glance, I was like, why hasn't everyone else already done this kind of shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems pretty big, because it's supposed to be economies of scale. It's just be better to do it on someone else's platform. And then he's going to try it and see where it goes. And you're doing it. So could you tell our audience what it is?
Yeah, just, a quick summary of what Experience is. Just the backstory. You heard about how I'm very passionate about the community and self-value and how you utilize your community. And so you could do that by streaming. You could do that by starting a podcast. You can do that by, starting a merch line, things like that. But all those things are tedious. As you know, John, like to do a podcast to keep up with that, like it's no joke, right? It's hard and it keeps going, right? And so I know not everyone is built, right, like John and can do it. And so it's like, okay, what do I do that I can turn off and on, but I can just plug in to my community right now that's existing? And so basically I had this concept called what I call Experience, where it's a menu that Austin Ekeler, myself, or any other talent that are on the app can offer a menu of different engagements that our fans can go and then buy. And what makes us different is we'll continue to add different engagements. We have 6 engagements right now, 1 also coming on the way. But like things like getting your jersey signed. Like if you had an Austin Ekeler jersey right now, how would you get that signed? You would have to find me at a signing that I do once a year. And if you live across the nation, then you're screwed. So now you can jump on Experience. You can get that shipped through, goes through our process, gets signed, and then ends up back at your doorstep. So things like Sign My Stuff. If you're an author, same thing with books. We have a whole category of things you can get signed by these people. And then also, the personalized videos. We can do video chats. You can do our category called Game With Me if you're a gamer. We have a big time Madden player that only does Game With Me's on there, right?
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So it's like you get to create your own narrative. You get to create your own menu, whether it's high ticket items. I sold a game jersey for a few grand on there, right? Nice. Or I've sold something as small as a comment on your Instagram post for $10, right? Really? So I get to create this whole, menu that you can pick and choose and play around and get to interact with me. Because otherwise, if I wasn't on there, you'd have no access to me at all.
So it sounds kind of like Cameo, but on steroids a little bit, huh? Is it more personal than that?
Cameo, I'm not sure how they treat their talent, but we are really like trying to, on our talent side, we're really trying to help our talent boost themselves. So we're trying to tap into what is John trying to do? John, what are you trying to do? How can we help? Where can we fit ourselves in to be aligned with you to help you grow yourself? Because if we help you grow your interactions with your fans and your fan base, it in turn helps you do more experience, which helps us. So it's a win-win-win because now your fans get access to you, which they didn't have before. You are growing your fan base, which is making you have more options. And then we're making more money because you're doing more engagements. And so that's our model.
Yeah, man. So we had Ray Leonard Jr. on the show before, and he talked about his Ovations app, which connected public speakers with their audience. And he said in the early stages, one of the issues that it's a balancing act between the talent, the supply, and the demand. Are you running into that right now with, okay, you're recruiting people to come be a part of this app, but balancing the promotion aspect of it to make sure there's the right mix there?
Yeah.
Is that something?
When you go into this industry, you have two fronts that you have to go and battle against, because you need talent, but you also need people to know the talent are on there. So yeah, we're definitely feeling that. And guess what? The thing is, we own the technology, so we have a long runway. This is not, something that's going to be the biggest thing overnight, and we're prepared for that. I've been telling my team, like, look, we're going to have to do all of this work to move an inch, right? But that inch is going to turn into 2 inches, right? We're going to get that snowball rolling, but it's going to take some time to build our reputation.
Yeah, and I think a lot of time with those platforms, it's guess and check. Well, let's try this, see what works. Try this, see if it doesn't work. But awesome, man. Well, hey, listen, dude, I want to talk to you about your foundation too, because like I said, I'm wearing the Be the Best You shirt. I get compliments every time I wear this damn thing out. People ask me about it. Could you tell us a little bit about your foundation?
Yeah, so I started the Austin Ekeler Foundation after my second year. And the reason I started it is because I feel like I had a sufficient amount of opportunities and resources that I had in my little tiny town in Colorado that allowed me to get my feet going, right? I was able to put myself and put one foot in front of the other. And so really I wanted to make sure and do a little bit of my part to make sure I fill the gaps where in some of these communities that they need like just basic things that seem normal to get started so they can have that opportunity as well. I first was going to do this mentorship, but then I was educated by my mentors that you can't control people and you can only help people as much as they're willing to be helped. And so then I was like, okay, well, in that case, let me put things in the communities that they can use. And then they had to actually physically go out and utilize them to actually get the benefits out of them. One of them being, one of my favorite projects, we put washers and dryers into schools in Watts, California. And these are a couple elementary schools that had a high population of impoverished families where they're living in their cars, assisted living, don't have access to washers and dryers. And so now they could do their laundry at school, right? They have an opportunity to get their stuff cleaned at school. Another one, we're actually building one right now, a weight room. We built one in Santa Barbara. Now we're building one in Long Beach Poly. And the reason I love weight rooms is because I feel like that's where I really learned my mentality. I learned social skills, how to work hard, how to push myself, how to just really mentally and physically push through some adversity, right? It's a place where you can go, put yourself in a spot where it's hard. It's not easy. Right. And then you have those skills be transferable to other things in your life. And so putting resources back into the community.
And hats off to you on that, man, because I got to tell you, and for the audience, Austin's just getting used to this financial position he's in. He hasn't been making this money for 20 years. His rookie contract freaking blew, right? I mean, you weren't
compared to now, yes.
He didn't know when his career would be going, and he's already doing this with charity and everything else. And also, I'm going to ask you two more quick questions. I know you got to run, and we're going to bring on another guest after you too. But we have some former meatheads on the show, bro. You got to, and you're not shy about it on your social media. So first of all, is 5'10", 200? Are those real numbers?
5'10". I am actually 5'8" and 5'8". And I do weigh, I'd like to say under 200, like 198 is like my sweet spot.
All right. Got it. I was going to say that. I didn't think you were 5'10". And I saw you do 405 squatting 9 times the other day on Instagram. Is that have you ever maxed out on squats?
Yeah, I've done a 13 before. This is 9 because I just finished the off season and haven't really been, or just finished the season, haven't really been squatting like that. So we'll get that up. We'll get that up for sure.
All right. And what's your 40 and your bench max?
Ooh, so I don't have an official laser time 40. Okay. But my hand time was a 4.43. There was one that was a 4.38, but I don't know if I believe that one. I feel like I'm more of a 4.4 guy. Nowadays, I don't know what I am now. That was back, fresh legs when I was 21 years old. And then I did 23 reps of 225. But I just did the 315 and busted out 6 of those. So
6 315s, 23.
The most I've ever done of those is 9. So I'm trying to get back up into double digits over there.
That's pretty for a guy under 200 pounds. That's crazy. and I'm cracking up with the handheld 40 time. My dad was my high school football coach. Every time I ran the 40, I was getting 4 6s. I was like, that was a beast.
Love it.
We really appreciate you having you on, brother. But one last question. Austin Eckler recommends what movie to the 2000% Raise audience?
You talked to a guy that does not watch movies. Actually, wait a minute. I saw a good one it was on Netflix. It was The Glass Onion. Have you ever seen that?
No, I have not.
Watch The Glass. It's like a mystery. It's pretty interesting, intense, and it's like throwing you curveballs because you think you know it, and then you're like, oh, Glass Onion. Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. All right, hold on 1 second. We'll bring on our other guest in 1 second. All right, my next guest is somebody with an athletic past of her own. Yes, it might not be the starting running back of the Chargers, but it does involve collegiate volleyball. And I wanted to include Colleen McNutt on this episode because what she has been doing with her company Lightning Fit is just, it's amazing. I myself am an early investor in it. And where this thing's going, we this might be my only opportunity to get someone like Colleen on the show in a couple of years. She might be on the cover of Forbes or something, not have time for my bullshit. Yeah. Hey, so listen, I think your story, you hear these inspiring stories, and we have a lot of Shark Tank probably viewers out here, and they always make the dramatic big thing about, okay, how did you think of this? Oh, my baby was going to be suffocating, and I found this like fire resistant cloth or, whatever. And, the audience always loves those stories. And you wonder if there's just some Hollywood drama behind it where you with Lightning Fit, I mean, you do have a real life story here. So can we start there and just kind of give us that background?
Yeah, of course. So I played volleyball, as you mentioned, at Columbia University. It was an econ major. I actually went to the Big Four accounting firms after college. I went through a health challenge where I essentially took an antibiotic and it shut down my mitochondrial production. So for those of you out there that don't know that, that's what produces energy in every cell of your body. So all my organs essentially started to shut down. And I couldn't walk, couldn't talk, essentially went bedridden within months of taking this antibiotic.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 23.
So you're fresh out of playing Division I volleyball, and you're in great shape, and then this happens.
Yeah, I remember working 80-hour days with the accounting firm, would pop out of bed at 4 a.m., go work out for an hour and a half. I was an Energizer bunny. And so to go from that to bedridden was a very drastic change. And so essentially what happened is I ended up living in clinics all over the world for about 5 years, had a PICC line in my arm, had injections in my hip every day. The medicine that eventually got me better fed off oxygen. So I had to sit in hyperbarics for hours, you name it. I tried it. And so I eventually got better, but as most people know, it takes about 7 years for cells to turn over in your body. So I went back to accounting part-time.
and that's spoken as an Ivy League graduate. As most people know, it takes cells 7 years. Yeah, that's just household information. We all know that, Colleen. Okay.
Okay. So I'll put my nerd hat on. It takes about 7 years to turn over. And what essentially happened is my mitochondria had to start producing ATP, which is energy again. But it just wasn't turning on a light switch. It grew gradually. So I had to be very cognizant of how I worked out. And I'm so trained as an athlete to work out, 6 days a week for at least an hour. And this is how you stay in shape. Because I was so sedentary for 5 years, I gained 30 pounds, which I'm 5'9", 30 pounds on me is a big change, especially from being one athlete. So I tried everything, you name it, infrared saunas, shaky plates, intermittent fasting, the keto diet, had a chef cook for me. None of it worked. The weight would not come off.
Yeah.
And so one of the doctors that helped save my life was like, hey, EMS technology just got approved in the United States. It got cleared by the FDA for fitness. The person that did it is based in Florida. You do this twice a week and weight will come off. And I remember laughing. I was like, there's no way 20 minutes twice a week will do anything. This is another gimmick. This is another Shark Tank thing. Right? It's a magic pill that everyone talks about. So
yeah. And what's interesting? Let me interrupt you for a second there. One of the things when you listed all those things that you tried, you briefly said infrared saunas, and people do position that as if it's the magic pill. You're the first time I've heard something where infrared saunas hasn't cured
drop weight magically off you. It has a lot of benefits. I mean, you're sweating out toxins, you're doing a lot of things, but I don't think melting fat it's so I flew to Florida out of respect for this doctor that helped save my life. And I remember putting the suit on. It was very thick. You're tethered to a stand that looks like there's a trainer DJing. And I was like, what is going on? But a few days later, after 20 minutes, I couldn't sit or stand. I was so sore. It felt like a triple day back in college. Okay. So I was like, okay, something's here. So bought a device of my own. And in 3 months, just playing around with it, there's no protocols. There's electrodes all in the suit. Just messing around with it. The 30 pounds flew off just doing this twice a week for 20 minutes. And I was like, okay, yeah, something's here.
So you get to this place in Florida and they have you put on a suit that's kind of almost like it kind of feels like a scuba suit almost, right?
Way, way thicker than that. So the first like EMS device to come to the United States was eFit. And again, they've advanced as well. But back in 2016, these were incredibly thick suits. I mean, wires would break constantly. But again, they were ahead of their time. They were the largest on the market back then. So definitely kudos to them for breaking into the US. But technology has advanced very drastically over the last couple of years.
Okay.
So yeah, put on the scuba suit. You're tethered to something that looks like someone's a DJ. And what they're doing is they're controlling electrodes in the suit. So all your muscles are firing. So you're not using any weights, which is also weird. So I'm like, is this really a workout? What's going on? But again, was so sore. And then bought my own, 30 pounds flew off. And I was like, okay, something's here. And this was really, I was at accounting still during this time. And I had coworkers who were struggling with weight, busy moms, busy professionals. And so I just really started seeing people on the side. And it got so busy, it wasn't supposed to be a business, that I essentially left accounting and started in a single room just trying to help people.
Oh, wow.
Word of mouth grew. And in 2019, we opened our first location. Same thing, no advertising. Filled 3 machines with trainers, just by word of mouth and people getting results. And so while this technology has been around a while, my CPA brain really kicked in. I was like, how could we optimize this? How could we know what frequencies we should fire, what electrodes should be firing at every second of a session? And it took us 1.5 years of studying and researching to build this. And we actually were featured in 2019 at the Dodger Symposium. They invited us to be a part of this because there was a member of the Olympic board who watches demo this product and goes, I've seen this. It's been around for 15 years. Hands down, you guys have the best IP on how this is utilized.
Wow.
Yeah, and started texting MLB teams for us. So that led to the evolution of, okay, it's COVID. How do we get a trainer to travel with this technology? And by then it advanced to Bluetooth technology.
When you got that MLB kind of like nod, was that a big moment for you? We're like, okay, there's some evidence here that we got something big here.
Yeah, of course that was. I mean, the whole point of this company is to help people, whether you're an athlete or just your average person, right? So if you're trying to lose weight, how do we help you do that? If you're trying to increase speed as an athlete, how do we help you do that? If you're trying to increase strength, how do we help you do that? And we started doing internal studies at that time, and we got some amazing results with athletes. So we had, you were a football player, the 5-10-5 shuffle. We had someone drop by, I think, 0.19 seconds in 6 weeks by using our technology.
Wow.
We had another football player truly increase their max squat by 200 pounds in just 2 months.
What?
I know. This is a game changer. It's a real game changer. And then on just our average clients, we have people routinely lose 50 pounds in 6 months. And again, this is just client testimonials. When you look at our client scores, we're off the charts in customer satisfaction because we get results and it's not gimmicky.
Awesome.
So that's where primarily the business is sitting. And the Dodgers, not only was it a nod of, okay, we got something here, but it was how do we improve this technology and do we make it a better version? So how do we essentially get this in direct to consumer hands, right? So we can touch more people and help them. And so that led to a project where we'll be releasing the direct to consumer version at the end of this year. And it's essentially going to look like a pair of Lululemon leggings you put on and a light jacket you zip up, and then you follow along with a very simple app. And we'll have AI algorithms essentially raise and lower the electrodes. You don't need to do anything. So it's pretty exciting to be releasing that.
Awesome. So you've already raised seed money. I know the answer, but what tell our audience?
Oh, yeah. So I did raise seed money. Our Series A, the lead investor is in, and now people are doing follow-on, which is really great. We're expecting to close out in the next probably month. There's some big name investors who will most likely be on our cap table, which is very, very exciting. We already have on our seed round 2 chairmen of huge billion-dollar PE funds.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing as well. So
awesome.
They'll be coming in on Series B and C, which is amazing to have that lined up already.
Okay, cool. So you're already looking at BNC. So you already have, how many years do you have this mapped out, Colleen? A lot of times entrepreneurs they'll have up to Series A mapped out or even just seed. And, maybe we have an exit before then, a unicorn hits or something like that. You already have it mapped out where you're going to be raising BNC, it sounds like.
We're mapped out till 2026. So we're very fortunate in that our CFO used to run all of Apple Europe for 10 years. He's an incredibly experienced CFO. So we're down to the tap. So not only are we releasing fitness, but we're expanding into medical device applications. So we currently have 2 active studies going on at universities for Parkinson's and obesity. And then we'll be adding a 3rd application in Q3 of this year. So with essentially 4 different brands we're building and potentially even 2 more applications we're looking at patenting, we have to be prepared to know where this is going to go for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yep. Wow. That's incredible. And where did you work at in accounting prior to this, Colleen?
So I went straight from Columbia to like a Big 4 accounting firm.
Okay. So you don't want to say the name, but one of the Big 4s. All right. And, I'm just looking at this, we've had entrepreneurs on the show that have built billion-dollar companies that have been high school dropouts. You have people that got lucky and invented something that they stumbled across. This is a product of a person that had the ability to get hired at a Big 4 accounting firm, which is a hard job to get, by the way, if you didn't know that. It's only the Ivy Leagues, the Columbias, the Duke universities of the world going to those straight from college oftentimes. And we have an Ivy League graduate that also has a passion for sports that was in an unfortunate position where I guess he kind of stumbled across it, but really it was you finding it and taking it to a new level. So I love that. We hear all these rags to riches stories about people that grew up a certain way and became millionaires from other things. And you actually have the pedigree and you're using that to come up with something pretty freaking awesome here, Colleen. So congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
Is there anything our consumers should know? Is there any way to our audience to follow you or the product that we should be aware of?
Yeah, I think we're at lightning.fit.bowl. I believe that's our Instagram. Again, lightningfit.com. And we have trainers all across the country right now, I believe in 10 different markets, train people at home, at work, it's on demand, they come to you. But the direct-to-consumer fitness will be launching really before Christmas. So if you're not one of those locations, it'll be in your hands soon.
That is awesome. All right, Colleen McNutt, thank you for joining 2000% Raise. Appreciate it. Lightning Fit. Check it out, everybody.
Bye.
And that wraps up another episode of 2000% Raise. Thank you for listening. The best way to support our show is by leaving a rating or review on all platforms you listened on. And of course, by following, liking, or subscribing. Visit us at 2000percentraise.com or at John Sarasani on TikTok and Instagram. And of course, my YouTube channel at John Sarasani's 2000% Raise. Find all the ways to follow today's guests in our show notes. Thank you for being a part of our entrepreneurial journey.